You are not restless by accident. You are not overwhelmed by coincidence. What you're feeling right now is not just emotional exhaustion, it's a spiritual alarm. Something sacred is waking up in you. And I need you to hear this clearly, this is not anxiety, it's awakening. That tug in your spirit, that ache in your chest that won't go away, those sleepless nights when your heart races but your mind is quiet, this is the battle you didn't know you were fighting. Not a battle against people or problems, but against distraction, delay, and the slow erosion of divine focus. You're not broken, you're being summoned. And if you felt like no one understands, if your journey has felt lonely, let this be your confirmation, you are not alone. You are one of the chosen ones. And chosen ones often feel things more deeply, carry burdens more silently, and walk paths few will ever understand. But the Bible has always shown us, those who are set apart for purpose are first prepared in private. You didn't click this video by mistake. Heaven has been trying to reach you. And right now, it's not asking for perfection, it's calling for alignment. Because what's ahead of you is holy, and only those who stay faithful, clean, and deeply rooted will be able to carry it. In this episode of Spiritual Journals, we're diving into the hidden war happening in your spirit. We'll talk about the cost of purity, the power of spiritual discipline, and why this is your moment to stop shrinking and start rising. So if something in you is already leaning in, don't scroll. Stay. Subscribe to Spiritual Journals and turn on notifications, because the ones God chooses, He also awakens. Thank you for being here. Your presence isn't just appreciated, it's prophetic. What you're feeling isn't fear. It's fire. And it's only just begun. Don't let the past blind you to what's ahead, how mindfulness and faith clear the way for divine fulfillment. There's something deeply sacred about the space between your past and your promise. It's the place where old wounds still whisper and new dreams dare to rise. But here's the truth we often miss, if you stare too long at what went wrong, you'll go blind to what God is trying to do right now. The enemy is subtle, he doesn't need to destroy your future if he can convince you that you've already missed it. Disappointments have a language. They speak in the quiet hours of the night, echoing phrases like, "It's too late," or, "You should have known better." These are not just thoughts, they are strongholds. And if they take root, they will begin to rewrite your identity and distort your spiritual vision. But the Word of God offers a radically different truth. Behold, I am doing a new thing, now it springs forth, do you not perceive it? Isaiah 43 verse 19. That verse doesn't ask you to figure it out. It invites you to perceive, to be spiritually aware, emotionally available, and mentally ready. This is where mindfulness, a biblical mindfulness, enters the story. Not the version that asks you to empty your mind, but the one that trains you to fill it with the promises of God. Philippians 4 verse 8 tells us what to focus on, whatever is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, think about such things. That is holy mindfulness. That is spiritual alignment. That is how you silence the noise of what was, and create space for what is still possible. Some of you are living with vision impairment, not in your eyes, but in your spirit. You see through the lens of failure. You interpret today's peace through yesterday's betrayal. And because of that, you hesitate to hope. But the Spirit of God is moving right now, inviting you to shift your gaze. He is not recycling your past, He's redeeming it. Joseph's story teaches us that. Betrayed, abandoned, falsely accused, and forgotten in a prison, he had every reason to stop expecting more. But because he didn't let past injustice block future obedience, God elevated him at the exact time Egypt needed an answer. Had Joseph stayed stuck in bitterness, he would have missed the blessing. Genesis 50 verse 20 reveals his mindset, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done." That is the voice of someone who refused to let pain define his path. What if the delays in your life aren't denials, but divine designs? What if you haven't been left behind, but held in place so you'd be positioned to see clearly when it counts? When we become mindful of God's presence in every season, especially the silent ones, we begin to see delay as refinement, not rejection. we begin to understand that his ways are not random, they are righteous. The Lord is good to those who wait for him, to the soul who seeks him. Lamentations 3 verse 25. That means your faith is not idle, it's active in the waiting. It's not wasted time, it's water to the seed of promise. And maybe this is the invitation today, to stop rehearsing the past and start nurturing the present. To be mindful of your internal dialogue. To become aware of the spiritual climate around you and within you. To recognize when the enemy tries to replay past defeats like a broken record and instead play the anthem of victory found in Romans 8 verse 28, all things work together for good to those who love God and are called according to his purpose. Here's something new to try this week: write a letter to your future self, filled with promises from God's word. Seal it. Date it. Then read it again when doubt creeps in. This is not self-help, it's soul anchoring. It's reminding your future you that your faith never stopped fighting, that your God never stopped planning, and that your waiting was never in vain. You can also build a blessing board. It's not a vision board of what you want, it's a remembrance altar of what God has already done. Post pictures, answered prayers, verses that carried you through. Put it where you can see it daily. It'll remind you, if God did it then, he's not finished now. And don't underestimate the healing power of worship in realigning your perspective. Worship is not a sound, it's a stance. It's a refusal to be defined by the silence of the moment. David understood this when he declared in Psalm 27 verse 13, "I remain confident of this, I will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living." That's not poetic, it's prophetic. It's an invitation to lift your eyes above what's missing and fix them on what's promised. So I ask you today, lovingly but boldly, what are you allowing to define your expectations, your past, or God's presence? Are you mindful of what he's still building, or distracted by what's been broken? You may feel like the blessing is delayed, but blessings are never lost. Heaven's timing is never off. The same God who formed you in the womb, Jeremiah 1 verse 5, is orchestrating every step forward, even the ones that feel like standing still. This isn't just about spiritual encouragement. It's about spiritual awakening. This is a sacred hour where your perspective must align with heaven. Your past is not your prophecy. Your mistakes are not your master. And your delay is not your disqualification. You are not too late, too lost, or too broken. You are becoming. Let this be the moment where you say, "I release the weight of what was and I embrace the wonder of what's coming." If this message is stirring something deep in your spirit, don't leave in silence. Type in the comments, "I'm not stuck, I'm being prepared." Let that be your declaration of faith. Let it be the beginning of your new perception. Because you were never forgotten. You were being formed. And now, receive this spoken blessing over your life. May the Lord who sees your secret scars and your silent hope give you divine clarity in this moment. May your spirit rise with holy expectation, and may every lie that tied you to the past be severed by the truth of his word. You are not behind schedule. You are right on time, on God's time. And the future you're afraid to hope for is still possible with him. In Jesus' name. The restlessness is a signal, not a symptom, when faith interprets the stirring within. There's a kind of unease that no amount of rest seems to fix. You close your eyes but sleep doesn't come. Your soul feels unsettled. You're searching for words to describe it, but all you're left with is a deep, holy ache. What if I told you, that's not just anxiety? What if it's heaven interrupting your comfort to awaken your calling? We often treat restlessness as something to fix or silence. But what if it's a signal, not a symptom? What if your lack of peace is not punishment, but positioning? In Scripture, we find that restlessness is often the soil of revelation. Jonah felt it on a boat headed in the wrong direction. Elijah felt it in a cave after his greatest victory. And Paul felt it so deeply that it redirected him to Macedonia in a dream. These weren't mental breakdowns. They were divine interruptions, moments where faith had to speak louder than fear. That's stirring in you. It's not a malfunction. It's a message. You're not losing your grip, you're being loosed from your limits. Faith doesn't always look like confidence. Sometimes, it looks like confusion you're willing to bring before God. Hebrews 11 verse 1 says, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." That means you don't need all the answers to walk forward. You just need to believe that the stirring has a source greater than yourself. Too often we interpret restlessness through the lens of fear. What if I'm missing something? What if I'm not enough? But what if that restlessness is actually God saying, you're being invited into more? Not more performance. Not more pressure. More purpose. More presence. More of Him. It's time we stop treating our restlessness as a problem to suppress and start treating it as a prompt to seek. There is a holy tension in transition, and faith is what carries you through it. This isn't the end of something. It's the trembling beginning of something eternal. We don't talk enough about the way God awakens us through discomfort. We want Him to speak through peace, but sometimes He speaks first through disruption. The story of Moses proves this. He was minding his own business, tending sheep in the wilderness, when a bush caught fire and refused to be consumed. It was strange. It was unsettling. But it was sacred. That's what restlessness often feels like, a flame that won't burn out. A divine nudge that won't go away. That feeling you keep trying to ignore may actually be your burning bush. And here's the truth, the same God who stirred Moses, who whispered to Elijah, who redirected Paul, is stirring you now. This stirring is the birthplace of calling. It's the soil of holy dissatisfaction. It's what God uses when your surroundings no longer align with your assignment. Don't run from it, lean into it. Ask the Lord, what are you saying in this silence? What are you showing me in this storm? Here's a practice to begin tonight. Instead of praying for the restlessness to go away, ask God to reveal its meaning. Write down what's been on your heart at night. Track the patterns. What themes keep coming up? What desires are awakening? Faith is not passive, it's responsive. It listens, waits, discerns, and moves in step with the Spirit. The Psalms are full of such moments. David writes in Psalm 63 verse 1, "O God, you are my God, earnestly I seek you, my soul thirsts for you, in a dry and weary land where there is no water." This wasn't poetic language, it was spiritual reality. His restlessness drove him to pursue God with hunger. Your soul's unease could be God inviting you into that same pursuit. And let's be honest, this type of restlessness can feel lonely. It isolates you because not everyone will understand it. You may be surrounded by people who are content to stay the same, while you feel everything shifting inside of you. That's not a mistake. That's the cost of calling. Noah looked like a fool until the rain came. Esther felt the weight of risk before she saw the reward. And even Jesus, in Gethsemane, felt a holy heaviness before the cross. What they all had in common was faith, the kind that walks when feelings falter. The kind that obeys when understanding is incomplete. Your restlessness is not here to destroy your peace. It's here to birth your purpose. It's not anxiety, it's activation. It's not confusion, it's calling you deeper. But here's the question, will you follow where the signal leads? Sometimes faith looks like pausing everything to ask, Lord, what are you trying to awaken in me? Create space for that question. Turn down the volume of distractions. Fast from the opinions of others. Get quiet enough to discern the voice of the one who speaks in stillness. And here's something you may not have tried, declare over your restlessness. Speak to it as if it were a message, not a malfunction. Say, God, I receive this stirring as a sign you're moving. Journal your responses. Speak out verses of promise. Let Psalm 16 verse 11 guide you. You make known to me the path of life, in your presence there is fullness of joy. Because faith isn't just about what we believe in theory, it's about how we interpret what we feel in the unseen. And when faith becomes your filter, restlessness becomes revelation. If this word is reaching deep into your spirit right now, I want you to respond with more than agreement, I want you to respond with faith. Type in the comments, "Lord, I trust the stirring." Let that be your act of surrender. Let it be your invitation for heaven to speak louder than fear. You're not falling apart. You're being set apart. You're not stuck, you're being stirred. You're not breaking down, you're being broken open for a breakthrough. So receive this blessing today. May the God who whispers in midnight restlessness give you clarity with every sigh. May your faith rise in the stillness. May your soul find strength in the silence. And may the stirring within become the sacred path toward all He's calling you into. You are not lost, you are being led. And the next chapter will be written in the ink of obedience and the fire of faith. Obedience over expertise. Faith is the key, why wisdom and surrender matter more than credentials. We live in a world that celebrates credentials, platforms, and accolades. The louder your resume, the more worthy you appear. But heaven doesn't operate by human standards. God is not checking your qualifications, He's testing your willingness. In the kingdom, success is never based on expertise. It's based on obedience. And the doorway to your next chapter won't be opened by achievement, it will be opened by surrender. You don't need to be more impressive. You need to be more available. When God chooses someone, He's not looking for perfection. He's looking for trust. The story of Esther proves this. She didn't campaign for the crown. She didn't apply to be a queen. She was chosen, quietly, unexpectedly. And when the time came to act, she didn't feel ready. She trembled at the weight of her assignment. But she said yes anyway. That yes, shaky, hesitant, but holy, saved a nation. God moves not through the most skilled, but through the most surrendered. And surrender is a matter of wisdom, not weakness. Proverbs 3 verses 5 to 6 reminds us, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding, in all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight." That's not a call to expertise. It's a call to trust. A call to yield your own understanding so His wisdom can lead the way. Wisdom in the Bible is never just knowledge, it's the art of aligning with heaven. It's knowing when to be still, when to speak, and when to move. It's learning to hear God in the ordinary and respond with extraordinary faith. Obedience may look small to the world, but in God's eyes, it is sacred. Think of Moses. When God called him at the burning bush, Moses gave every excuse in the book. "I'm not a good speaker. What if they don't believe me? Please send someone else." But God wasn't asking Moses to bring a perfect resume. He was asking him to bring a willing heart. The Lord's response was simple, "I will be with you." Exodus 3 verse 12. That's the secret. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to walk with the one who does. Wisdom is knowing when to step out before you see the whole staircase. Wisdom is saying yes when the world says you're not ready. This sacred season you're in is not about gaining more accolades. It's about posturing your spirit in humility and courage. True spiritual maturity is not about being loud or celebrated, it's about being responsive. Faith that moves mountains often whispers first in obedience. Here's a new perspective. What if you stopped asking for God to make you ready, and started asking for the wisdom to say yes in your current weakness? In James 1 verse 5, we are given a powerful promise. "If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given." Not someday. Not after a degree. Not after you feel worthy. Right now. Wisdom is a divine gift that unlocks spiritual momentum. It's what gives ordinary people the grace to do extraordinary things. Try this in your quiet time. Instead of listing what you lack, list what you can lay down. What's one fear you can surrender today? One area you can stop overthinking? Obedience often begins in the unseen spaces of your heart. It's the whisper that says, "Even if I'm not the most equipped, I am still called." And remember this, Jesus didn't train a group of elite scholars. He called fishermen, tax collectors, and outcasts. He poured His power into people who had more humility than accolades. Because the kingdom isn't built by the most prepared, it's built by those who carry his presence. Paul understood this deeply when he wrote, God chose the foolish things of the world to shame the wise, so that no one may boast before him. 1 Corinthians 1 verses 27 and 29. This means your weaknesses are not disqualifiers, they are platforms for grace. They are opportunities for wisdom to rise and faith to be tested. When you say yes in the face of fear, you're not just being brave, you're being obedient. And in God's eyes, that's the highest form of worship. Let's get practical and personal. What would shift in your life if you started measuring success by obedience instead of outcomes? What if you let go of needing everything to be perfect, and instead ask daily, God, what does faithfulness look like today? Try this new spiritual rhythm. Begin each morning with this simple prayer, Lord, I choose obedience over comfort. Give me wisdom to follow even when it's hard. Then write down what comes to your spirit. You may be surprised by the clarity that flows when surrender becomes your starting point. And if you ever feel discouraged, remember the widow with the 2 coins in Mark 12. She didn't have much to offer. But Jesus called her gift greater than all the others because she gave from her lack, not her abundance. That's what obedience looks like, giving God your small, trusting Him to make it sacred. You may be in a season where doors are not opening the way you expected. That's okay. God often tests your obedience before He releases your opportunity. Sometimes the waiting is not a punishment, it's preparation. And wisdom teaches you to walk by faith, not sight. Let go of the pressure to be polished. You don't need a stage to be significant. You don't need applause to be anointed. You need faith that whispers yes even when your voice shakes. Type in the comments, Lord, I choose wisdom and obedience. Let that be your declaration today. Let heaven hear that your heart is ready. And now, receive this blessing. May the God who sees beyond your qualifications give you the courage to say yes before you feel ready. May wisdom guide every step and obedience become your strength. May you stop chasing perfection and start embracing purpose. And may your small yes echo into eternity, as heaven moves on your behalf. You are chosen, not because you are the best, but because you are willing. The next move isn't about your capability. It's about your surrender. And your yes, right now, could be the doorway to everything God has promised. Set apart for the sacred, the hidden fire within the chosen ones. There's a reason why you feel different. A reason why the weight you carry seems heavier than others. Why your silence is louder. Why your inner fire keeps burning, even when no one sees it. It's because you've been set apart, not for popularity, not for applause, but for purpose. You are not random. You are not forgotten. You are one of the chosen ones. Being chosen does not always feel like a crown, it often feels like a cross. While the world rushes forward in distraction and noise, you walk a quieter, narrower road. You sense things more deeply. You carry burdens that seem invisible to others. But this isn't a curse. It's a divine commission. You've been entrusted with something sacred, and heaven itself is training you in private for a public purpose. Deuteronomy 14 verse 2 declares, For you are a people holy to the Lord your God. Out of all the peoples on the face of the earth, the Lord has chosen you to be His treasured possession. This is not just a comforting statement. It is a call to rise above the ordinary. To recognize that your difference is not rejection, it's refinement. Chosen ones are not selected because they are the most perfect. They are chosen because they are the most willing. Because they said yes when it was hard. Because they kept showing up when everything inside them wanted to walk away. And with every silent sacrifice, with every tear not seen by men but caught by God, a holy foundation is being built within them. When you're set apart, your training is different. Your warfare feels more intense because your calling is more specific. Others may move freely, but you feel the restraint of the Spirit. Others may speak quickly, but you're told to wait. Others may chase the spotlight, but you are being hidden, for a reason. Isaiah 49 verse 2 says, He made me into a polished arrow and concealed me in His quiver. There is sacred power in the seasons where God hides you. Because what he is forming in you requires stillness, obedience, and spiritual depth. And in that hiddenness, something beautiful happens. You begin to hear God more clearly. You become sensitized to his presence. You begin to understand that your strength is not in striving, but in surrender. You start to embrace that being set apart is not about isolation, it's about consecration. To be consecrated means to be dedicated to divine purpose. This is why your fire is not a punishment, it is preparation. It is the refining flame of a loving Father who is shaping you not for comfort, but for commission. 1 Peter 1 verse 7 reminds us, these trials will show that your faith is genuine. It is being tested as fire tests and purifies gold. You are being made into something precious, unshakable, eternal. The pain you carry in this season is not meaningless. It's not something to run from, it's something to steward. Sacred discomfort is the soil of transformation. When God begins to stretch your spirit, it means heaven is enlarging your capacity to carry what's coming next. It means your heart is being broken open, not to bleed, but to bloom. Chosen ones are not those who escape trials. They are those who embrace them with purpose. Paul understood this when he wrote in Romans 5 verses 3-5, we glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope. Hope does not come in the absence of fire. It comes in the midst of it. So what do you do when you feel the weight of being set apart? You don't waste it. You lean into it. You ask God what he's forming in the quiet. You ask what assignment is tied to the ache. You start journaling your prayers, not just to release them, but to record them, because the same prayers you whisper today will become the testimonies you shout tomorrow. Try this new activity, take a week and create a sacred wall in your room or prayer space. Pin up scripture verses that speak to your identity. Write down every time you felt unseen but God showed up. Record the prophetic whispers you've received. This isn't just decoration, it's declaration. It's training your eyes to see with faith what your feelings sometimes forget. Chosen ones also need community. Even Jesus, though divine, surrounded himself with those who would walk with him. Seek out spiritual companionship, not for validation, but for mutual strength. Reach out to someone who's walking a similar path. Start a prayer call once a week. Share the word that's been burning in you. Because isolation is not your inheritance, impact is. Let's also be honest about the emotional toll of being set apart. Sometimes it feels lonely. Sometimes it feels like everyone else gets to run freely while you remain tethered to invisible boundaries. But those boundaries are grace. They are divine guardrails keeping you from drifting into the ordinary when you were born to carry the extraordinary. If you're in a season where you feel like no one understands the inner fire you're carrying, take heart. So did Jeremiah. He said in Jeremiah 20 verse 9, his word is in my heart like a fire shut up in my bones. I am weary of holding it in. That fire was not his burden. It was his calling. And the same is true for you. There's a reason your spirit won't settle. There's a reason you can't go back to who you used to be. It's because you're not who you used to be. The molding has already begun. The oil is already flowing. You are being set apart to carry something this world cannot produce, glory. Let this be the day you stop apologizing for your difference. Let this be the day you stop hiding your flame. Let this be the day you stand tall in the sacredness of your assignment. Type in the comments, I am set apart for something sacred. Let that be your banner of faith today. Let it be a prophetic act that tells the heavens you're ready. And now, receive this blessing. May the God who formed you in secret reveal you in his perfect timing. May every moment of pain be pressed into oil. May every hidden cry become a holy anthem. May your identity as one of the chosen ones burn brighter than fear, and may your obedience unlock doors only heaven can open. You are not like the rest because you were not called for the same. You are set apart, refined, anointed, and deeply, eternally loved. This isn't just your season. This is your sanctification. And heaven is watching your yes. Stay faithful. Stay clean. Stay aligned, the hidden work of spiritual self-improvement. There are seasons in life that feel quieter, less celebrated, and deeply personal. These are not the seasons where you're seen, but the seasons where you're formed. This is one of those seasons. And in times like this, the Spirit is whispering not, do more, but go deeper. This is not the time to shrink back. This is the time to root yourself in truth, to pursue not just progress, but purity. Not just productivity, but presence. This is the hour where your unseen faithfulness writes a legacy heaven will never forget. You may feel like nothing is moving around you. But heaven is moving in you. The world constantly teaches us that self-improvement is about appearance, fitness goals, professional accolades, outward success. But the kingdom flips that concept on its head. In God's economy, self-improvement begins with surrender. It is not about adding more to yourself. It's about becoming more like Him. And that starts not with what you do, but with what you align your heart to. Romans 12 verse 2 says it clearly, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will. This kind of transformation isn't achieved by effort alone. It's produced through alignment, through letting go of distractions and choosing daily holiness over temporary validation. True self-improvement is not self-centered. It's Spirit-led. God is not building you for comfort. He's building you for commission, and what He is preparing in your spirit will require a greater level of discipline and devotion. This is why your strength cannot be borrowed from external results. It must come from internal resolve, an anchored spirit, a clean heart, a clear focus. Psalm 51 verse 10 says, create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. That's the cry of someone who understands that clarity begins with cleansing. If you've been feeling spiritually tired, emotionally stretched, or mentally overwhelmed, consider this: your weariness may not mean you're doing something wrong. It may mean you're being invited to realign. Alignment begins with honesty. Honesty with God. Honesty with yourself. What are you feeding your mind? What are you allowing into your atmosphere? Are your motives still pure, or have they been polluted by comparison and approval? Staying clean doesn't just mean avoiding sin. It means staying close to the source of holiness. And this doesn't mean perfection. It means proximity. Staying faithful when no one is watching, when the results are unclear, when the doors seem closed, that is where heaven does its deepest work. Faithfulness is not glamorous. It's often slow, quiet, and lonely. But it is sacred. Luke 16 verse 10 reminds us, whoever is faithful in very little is also faithful in much. That little might be the early morning prayer when you feel nothing. It might be choosing integrity when compromise is easier. It might be saying no to what looks good to say yes to what is God. Here's a new way to think about spiritual self-improvement: it's not about becoming stronger, it's about becoming softer. Softer to the leading of the Holy Spirit. Softer to the whispers of correction. Softer to the needs of others, and to the weight of God's heart. This season is not about thickening your skin. It's about tendering your soul. Try this spiritual rhythm. Start each day by asking, Lord, what can I lay down today so I can carry more of you? Keep a refinement journal, where instead of listing achievements, you track moments of obedience. Record the days you chose humility. The times you bit your tongue instead of proving your point. The quiet sacrifices you made when no one was watching. This is spiritual maturity. This is growth that echoes in eternity. The holy ones, the chosen ones, will always be tested in the dark before they're trusted in the light. This is not a season of punishment. This is a season of preparation. And in the words of Galatians 6 verse 9, let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Don't mistake pruning for punishment. When God cuts something back, it's because He sees future fruit. When He slows you down, it's because He's aligning you with something greater. When He hides you, it's because He's preparing you to carry something holy, and only the clean can carry the sacred. You've been called, but that's not the end. Many are called. Few are aligned. Few carry the flame because few are willing to be purified by it. But you are still here. You're still pressing in. You haven't walked away. And that in itself is evidence of His Spirit alive in you. If this message is piercing your spirit today, don't brush past it. Sit with it. Let it rearrange your priorities. Let it recenter your soul. And let it remind you that real self-improvement is not about polishing your image, it's about transforming your heart. Type in the comments, "Lord, refine me until I reflect you." Let that be your prayer today. Let it be your offering. Your agreement. Your surrender. And now, receive this blessing over your journey. May the God who sees in secret strengthen your hands in private. May your unseen faithfulness become a fragrance in heaven. May your motives remain pure, your heart remain open, and your mind remain fixed on Him. May this be the season where you stop striving and start stewarding. May you grow deeper roots, so you can carry greater fire. You are not forgotten. You are being forged, and soon, the flame in you will light the way for others. Stay faithful. Stay clean. Stay aligned. Because you are being prepared for something sacred. And the oil of your obedience is about to overflow. You were meant to hear this. If you made it to this moment, it's not by chance. This wasn't just another video, it was a divine appointment. A whisper from heaven that what you're feeling isn't a flaw, a breakdown, or a burden. It's an awakening. You are not being crushed, you are being called. That stirring in your chest, the weight you've been carrying, the sleepless nights and quiet ache, they aren't signs of spiritual failure. They're proof that your spirit is still sensitive. Still alert. Still alive. You are being summoned, not sidelined. Chosen, not forgotten. And right now, God is using what feels like unrest to birth something holy inside of you. You are one of the chosen ones. Not because you're perfect, but because your heart is still open. Because even through fear and fatigue, something in you is still saying yes to God. Don't let the enemy convince you that your weakness disqualifies you. It's actually your invitation. Because where your strength ends, His wisdom, His grace, and His power begin. If this word touched your spirit, don't just scroll past it. Declare your agreement in the comments right now. This is not anxiety, it's awakening. Let that be your banner today. Your public declaration that something sacred is happening inside of you. Like this video if it helped you see your restlessness through heaven's lens. And subscribe to Spiritual Journals, where the hidden ones remember they were always chosen. Turn on the notifications so you never miss the word that might unlock your next breakthrough. Thank you, truly, for giving this space your heart and your time. You are seen. You are loved. You are being led, even in the silence. Now, receive this blessing. May the God who interrupts with purpose guide you into divine clarity. May your unease become your awakening. May every restless moment become the birthplace of deeper revelation. May you rise, not with noise, but with holy fire. Not with striving, but with surrender. This is not the end of something. This is the beginning of everything. This is your moment. Walk in it.